Prior to starting your study session, it's always a good idea to plan ahead. If you have a calendar of things that are due, you can have a look at what's due in the long term and what's due in the short term and plan your night accordingly. Now in maths, it's always good to keep your work going on a consistent basis. Depending on the subject that you do, that might mean anything between 20 to 40 minutes a night. Once you settle down to do your maths homework, make sure you attempt every question that's been set. If you do have any concerns or difficulties, make sure you highlight those and write them down so that you can ask about them the next time there's an opportunity to do so. Also, if you have the chance, go back and try and rehearse key facts. If there's things you can practice or try and remember, it's a good opportunity to try and do that while it's fresh in your mind. If you do finish your homework early, perhaps there was only a few questions set for the night, it's a good opportunity to go back and have a look at some questions that may have caused difficulty for you in the past. The more you can practice and go through routines of things that were difficult, it means that you're helping yourself for later assessments such as the exams. When you're tackling new work, sometimes it's quite difficult to actually get towards an answer, and it can be very frustrating. And one option is to actually look at the answer and see if you can work backwards, see if you can adapt a strategy based on the information that you're given and what you're trying to achieve. Keep in mind this is best done for new work. If you're doing this when you're revising for a test or an exam, it's actually not a good habit because you want to make sure in those situations that you try and recall as much information as you can in a situation where you haven't got notes to refer to. Sometimes, no matter what strategy we try, we still have concerns with the questions. It's very important, if that's the case, that you actually note them down and keep a list of things that are causing you concern. At the first opportunity, try and see a teacher or a friend to see if you can actually resolve the issue. But make sure that when you do ask for questions that you actually show any attempts that you've made, because it may help actually highlight the errors or the steps that you need to know to make sure you can do the problem. As you get closer towards tests and exams, it's a good idea to practice questions with marks attached to them in a test or an exam which have a time constraint. This allows you to find out how well you really know a concept, because if we push for time, we have to be confident about how we go about things. So it's a good idea to practice that and expose what things are your strengths and weaknesses. Sometimes it's just hard to get started with study. And a good way around that is to find things where you can go through and quickly recall facts to try and warm up. Some examples of that might be something as simple as multiplication tables, can be things as trig ratios or index laws. You can actually go through and practice volumes and areas of different shapes, or if the need arises, you can even do a puzzle. Just make sure that doesn't become a distraction to your study. A good thing to do going into a test and certainly into an exam is to have a brief list of topics. Now this shouldn't be more than 2 A4 pages. You want to keep it very brief and concise. And as you go through your revision, that might mean looking at the notes, but certainly doing questions, tick off the things that you're good at, but also highlight the things that cause concern. And the purpose behind this is it gives you an identifiable list of things that you need to follow up, rather than try to remember things that you're not so good at or you're weak at. It actually gives you something that you can go back and refer to, and certainly keeps you very organised and on track during your study. So there's a few things in brief that may help you with your study. Hopefully they're things that you might consider leading up to a test or an exam, or just in your general study as you prepare for mathematics.